I'm Kristin Lowrey, and I'm the founder and executive director of Access Period. I was working with another nonprofit called Partnership for Hope that serves young adult former foster youth. They have a free store called Youth Mart, and Youth Mart has furniture, household goods, everything that someone would need for their first apartment. They also provide hygiene goods, and I was seeing some menstrual product donations come in, but it was never enough. And so I thought, this is a need that I just personally could meet for the people that Partnership for Hope serves. And in doing some research and reaching out to other nonprofits to see, where were they getting period products at affordable prices and how much were they giving to other people, I found that most of them said the same thing. They said, we don't provide free period products. Too expensive, it's too complicated, and they're out there trying to solve really big problems like hunger and homelessness, and can really easily be pushed to the side. So I thought if there was one organization or one person that was just focused on this problem, we might be able to make a really big impact. So there are really 4 things that people who are experiencing period poverty lack access to. The first is the most obvious. It's lack of access to period products, but they also lack access to hygiene facilities, waste management, and education. So through our PACs and through our programming, we try to meet all 4 of those needs. So periods are deeply personal. The way that we distribute products is through a partnership model. So most of the great stories that I hear are about our partners, which are other nonprofits that already serve the people that we want to reach, being able to do their jobs better and serve their clients better because they have access to free period products. So clients returning to these nonprofits that maybe haven't been there in a while because they know that they can access these products there. But I think that the best stories are of people who are no longer held back by lack of access to period products. When people can't afford period products, they have to make some really difficult decisions. A lot of people stay home from work or school. They use products for longer than they're recommended to be used for, or they use alternatives like baby diapers, cloth, cardboard, plastic bags, and people deserve so much better. So I think that some of the best stories are just people being able to live their normal lives without being held back. Yeah, I think that when I first started talking about this problem, I realized that so much of what we're trying to solve here is the shame and stigma surrounding menstruation. So the first couple people I told about this, I wasn't used to talking about it, and so they didn't really get it. They didn't think this was a good idea. I couldn't explain to them why it was so important. And then once I kind of got used to it, people started jumping on board really quickly. And so I think that when I realized that for every person in need in Nebraska, there is an equal number of people that care deeply about this and are willing to step up and help us solve it. That was kind of that magic moment when I realized that not only were we doing great work, but this was a problem that is solvable. We don't have to do this work forever. We can really change the systems that impact people who are living in poverty in a way that no one needs to be held back by lack of access to period products. Before we had a dedicated warehouse space, everything was hard and everything was complicated. So we were ordering products, having them delivered to my garage. We even tried to have them delivered to storage units. That's really difficult to do. And so everything we did was hard. I realized really quickly I could fit almost a half of a pallet in my vehicle, which no one should have to find that out the hard way. And so it just was, we were spending so much time moving things back and forth, even moving things from my garage to my basement and back and forth while trying to have a happy home for my family, which became really difficult when we were surrounded by boxes. And so kind of just doing the math and the calculations constantly. And then when I figured out how much it was costing us to not be doing things in the most efficient way, it was easy to see the big difference. So I think that before we were a staff of 2 and we were still in my home, and there was kind of a stop in between too. We were in a Sunday school classroom of a church for a while. It was that I had to be everywhere all the time. So we have about 60 partners that we distribute products to, and each of them pick up products from us every month or every quarter. And it was almost impossible to keep commitments that we made to them to get them their products, because I couldn't be everywhere. And they also, our partners, are other nonprofits that are spread so thin, they really need more freedom to be able to pick up products when it's convenient for them. So I like to think of Elevator as kind of our third staff member, because now that we're here, people can come and pick up products whenever it's convenient for them. We just did a partner survey where we asked all of our partners what we could be doing to be better, how could we logistically make it easier on them, and all of them said being able to pick up products at Elevator anytime makes all the difference. So we distribute period products in 3 ways. The first is through statewide access points. So from Scottsbluff to Lincoln, we have 3 in Omaha, and up to Norfolk, there are 10 places in Nebraska where anyone can get free period products. And these are really unique because anyone, no questions asked, can get as much as they want. This is really important for people who are maybe concerned about their status or their identity being questioned. Being able to access those products is really important. So here in Omaha, our 3 access points are at 2 of the One World Teen and Young Adult Health Centers, and also at the Union for Contemporary Art. We also distribute products through about 60 partner agencies. So these are other nonprofits that already serve the people that we want to reach. In Omaha, these are places like Youth Emergency Services, the Teen Center at Burke High School, and then we also serve schools. And our school partnerships are all really, really different, but many of the products go out state, and so we're mailing them. And so being able to mail them here and not have to run another errand, be able to mail something at a moment's notice so a school nurse doesn't have to go out and purchase period supplies out of their own pocket, makes a really big difference. So when I realized that Access Period was growing, I would ask around and say, do you know anybody who has warehouse space that we could rent, or any type of space? We have a really low budget. And everybody was like, oh, there's this new place opening. It's called Elevator. You've got to go there. And so I called and talked to people a couple times and realized it was way too expensive. There was no way that we would be able to warehouse here. And as time went on, every time I'd ask someone, they were like, there's this place, you've got to check it out, Elevator. So I finally came down and toured. And once I got here and saw what it would be like, I realized that we kind of couldn't afford not to be here, because we'd be able to expand operations so much more. It also added a little bit of legitimacy to Access Period. I always dreaded the question when funders or anyone would say, where do you office out of? And I would have to say my house, because that just immediately made them question, should I take this person seriously or not? And so once we got here, it was such a huge shift to be able to meet people here, to be able to have partners here. It just made everything easier and everything better. And looking at the cost, it actually wasn't as expensive as I originally thought that it was. So it was a really good decision. Between the event space, the shipping capabilities, the loading dock, there's so much here. So I'm going to say the staff, because that is what makes all of that work. Not having to be here all of the time, not having to worry about people maybe being able to find their products when they come here, and not having to worry about people not being able to drop off donations as well, has been unimaginably easy. And the staff is always there. I know that I can, text Leah or text Josh, and if something is coming in and I'm not able to get downtown, that they'll take care of it for me, and that the people who are coming will be treated so well, and that they'll have a great experience even if I'm not here. Being in community with over 100 other businesses and nonprofits has been really, really awesome. First of all, it's not very lonely here. It's really fun. If you want to talk to people, you can open up your door and people will pop by, but also being able to find, for example, a mentor in Angie Miller with Dibs for Kids. They're another more established nonprofit that's here. I go to her with all of my questions and go up to the third floor and ask Dave Pantos a legal question if I have one. It just has been great to find this community of people that are willing to help each other out and have friends. It's kind of like being in a dorm where you spend time together and it's really fun. It just is a great opportunity to be in community and form genuine relationships with people that I wasn't expecting. Well, I think that eventually we'll have to say that Elevator did what they promised and said that they could do, which was to elevate our organization so much that we'll eventually probably need to move. I see us in a really big warehouse space. Now I feel like I know so much about how to run a warehouse and how to, what equipment we would need, that before this experience, I could never see ourselves, in 5 years having our own warehouse. And now I'm ready for it. And so I think that is one of the beautiful and sad parts about this experience, is that it will end, because for us, we will experience, I think, that growth where we'll be in our own space and really have Elevator to thank for that. I think that in order to grow, you have to take calculated risks. And I think that, from moving here it felt extremely risky at the time. I didn't know how we were going to swing it. I didn't know how to look at our budget and see, can we afford it? I don't know. That felt so risky at the time and paid off immediately. So I think that knowing that it's okay to take big leaps, and if you want to grow, you absolutely have to. There's no way that you can keep doing the same thing in the same way and grow. And so I think taking those risks is really important, but also knowing who you can trust. For example, Emiliano, the owners of Elevator, was very successful in the nonprofit space. And so I also felt like I could trust him and that he wouldn't ask me to come here and put me in a position that really was a huge risk. And so being able to kind of look at who's involved with these big decisions you're making, do you have trust in them? And if you do, take the leap. So anyone can find more information on our website, which is accessperiod.com, or we're on Facebook, but Instagram is where we post more updates, and that is just at accessperiod.